Hope everyone's having a great day. We have some breaking news. It probably happened about an hour ago. The Russian ambassador to Turkey was just shot dead by what appears to be and has actually been confirmed as an off-duty Turkish police officer. So I will read you the details and then I will break down the potential scenarios of a horrible situation like this. The Russian ambassador to Ankara has been killed in the Turkish capital, the Russian Foreign Ministry has said, and I watched the video. There is video of it online. Andrei Karlov, 62, was several minutes into his speech at an embassy-sponsored photo exhibition when a man in a suit shot the diplomat in the back from close range multiple times. Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova made the announcement of Karlov's death in a live televised statement. The assailant was a 22-year-old off-duty police officer who worked in the Turkish capital. I'm not going to say his name, Ankara's mayor said. The man approached Karlov as he lay on the ground and shot him at least one more time at close range, according to the Associated Press photographer at the scene. The attacker also smashed several of the framed photos hung for exhibition, but later let the stunned guests out of the venue. And he did scream, "Don't forget Aleppo." The assailant referenced the situation in Aleppo after he shot the ambassador in the back. "Don't forget Aleppo, don't forget Syria," the attacker said in Turkish right after he shot down the ambassador, as seen on video shared by Turkish media from the scene. He then continued in Arabic, saying, "We are the descendants of those who supported the Prophet Muhammad for jihad." Turkey's state-owned agency said the attacker was killed by security forces after the gunfight. What we do know is now, going forward, out of the situation, we're going to have this cluster expletive of three right-wing authoritarian leaders, Erdogan, Putin, and potentially Trump. We think he may be a right-wing authoritarian, who are going to be dealing with this very delicate foreign policy situation which can only spell disaster. And if you recall, Turkey has been causing messes in this little three-way for a long time. A little over a year ago, Turkey shot down a Russian attack plane that was with a missile along the Turkish-Syrian border. Turkey was basically overzealous, to say the least. They almost dragged the entire world into a full-scale war. They shot down a Russian plane after the Russian aircraft was over in their airspace for 17 seconds. So no one's a fan of Turkey here. Turkey is also no longer a democracy. Erdogan has shut down critics and tried his opponents in these bizarre trials. And Erdogan is no longer, in my opinion, a friend to the United States. He is not the democratic leader that Turkey has had in the past. Turkey was kind of a shining city on a hill for Muslim and Islamic countries for democracy. It is no longer that way. Erdogan is a right-winger. He has embraced extremist Muslim ideology, and he's not the kind of person that the U.S. wants to align themselves with, despite the fact that Obama once called Erdogan a friend, which I disagree with that, but I do understand that NATO is something that we all need to be keeping in mind. So I will break down some of the different scenarios that could happen as a result of this scary act of aggression by an off-duty Turkish police officer who may be associated with Al-Qaeda. We do not know at this point. The details are still very vague. So is this the next Franz Ferdinand? That's what a lot of people are saying. A lot of people have alluded to that on Twitter that I've seen. He was, if you guys recall, the Archduke of Austria-Hungary, and he was assassinated by kind of a Serbian group, an underground Serbian group that called the Black Hand, I believe, the Black Hand, and it was an effort to break off Austria-Hungary's grip of the southern Slavic provinces and kind of to gain independence there. But the result was actually that Austria-Hungary kind of declared war on Serbia, and that led to the First World War because of the alliances that had become before at the turn of the century. So is this the same? Is this a similar situation to what happened in World War I with Franz Ferdinand? The answer is we do not know yet. I think we do know is that a member of the Russian government was assassinated. I think that's all we really know at this point. Franz Ferdinand was the heir to a throne, so that's a little bit of a different situation. And there are conflicting reports, as I said previously, about who this police officer is associated with. So if he does choose to associate himself with the Turkish government, then we smell trouble. But if he is associated with Al-Qaeda or some sort of radical terrorist group, then I'm sure the Turkish government will condemn it, and Putin may just suck it up. But again, Putin is not the kind of guy to take something like this lying down, nor do I think that the United States would take something like this lying down if the roles were reversed. So speaking of Putin, how will Trump respond to this? Because President Obama, what he says about this is pretty much a moot point. He's been going on TV and saying, Russia's a weak country and Putin is such a bad guy. Like, yeah, I mean, maybe, but your words don't really mean that much anymore. You're just kind of saying this because they may have hacked the DNC. So your politicizing of it kind of means nothing to me at this point, President Obama. And, President Obama, if he had a foreign policy failing, was really in his dealings with Russia. He didn't succeed in preventing Russia from taking Crimea. And President Obama has not really been able to effectively help the situation in Syria. So if President Obama does have a foreign policy failing, it is dealing with Vladimir Putin and Russia. So obviously, Trump is an admirer of Putin, and his Rex Tillerson pick shows that they're very excited to do many deals in destroying the planet with Putin and getting all these oil contracts and enriching ExxonMobil and such, and subsequently Rex Tillerson and lining his pockets. I can't wait for them to ravage the country for their own personal gain. Oh, lovely. But if Turkey does hold their ground and if Trump sides with Russia here, that flies in the face of NATO. So that is the biggest question mark that comes out of this situation for me. And just in general, in Trump's foreign policy, how is Trump going to honor NATO? Will he honor NATO? He doesn't seem to have any interest in doing so. He has said many times that he doesn't really give a damn about our allegiances, and our allies. And if Turkey and Russia continue this immense standoff in terms of Syria, I don't see Donald Trump siding with Turkey at all. And so worst case scenario, Turkey doesn't denounce this guy, and he doesn't, and they back this assassin, which I don't think is as that likely at this point. But it means that the U.S. would be forced into making a decision. Are they going to link arms with Turkey, who did something, or who sided with someone who did something immensely reckless, similar to the ridiculous situation back when they shot down that plane, which was completely reckless, or they throw NATO in the trash. And if you throw NATO in the trash, that spells trouble for the entire Western Hemisphere. So, and it would send us into chaos. You can say, oh, NATO's outdated. You can have a discussion on that. I don't know if I necessarily agree with you, but what we do know is that just abandoning that allegiance without significant foresight would send us into chaos at the very least, World War III at the very worst. And lastly, I just want to say that a lot of this boils down to what's happening in Syria. Donald Trump is more concerned about tweeting about SNL than he is about the tragedies in Aleppo. So I don't really see him caring about Assad and Putin's allegiance, in a sense, and the fact that Putin is so hell-bent on keeping Assad in power and does not give two poops about the atrocities that are happening there. So if Turkey and Russia are at best openly hostile to each other, and Putin and Trump are buddy-buddy, that means that the U.S. isn't even backing Turkey in the sense that they want Assad out of power. That spells trouble for the people in Aleppo who are being murdered and slaughtered, and these horrible images that are coming out. And that means that the U.S. is no longer on Turkey's side in that Aleppo fight. And that means we're going to be seeing even more atrocities in that region. So that's what bugs me about that, is that, Assad is terrifying, and I'm worried. I'm worried about what Trump's relationship with Putin is going to spell for that particular region. So we don't know. But I just wanted to give you guys the outline of what has been happening. What are the potential implications for this lovely dance that these three countries are going to be participating in? Erdogan, Trump, Putin. Oi, that's a right-wing authoritarian's wet dream, but I think it means a lot of violence throughout the globe for at least the next 4 years. So no good news on this front, but I will keep you guys updated. Have a great day.